Hello everyone, it's September 12th, Thursday at 7 Central with Painting with Brenda Live on Facebook, on Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque. I was going to say .com, but that ain't right. So it's a rainy Thursday here in Wisconsin. I hope everyone had a good week and had fun opening their boxes. We're going to start our new box, and we skipped the tape so we don't have to go through all that in the extra wrapping paper today. So the first thing you would have found is your inventory sheet, which has everything listed that's in your box. And then on the back you would have found the colored flyers that Mayco has, or Mayco Clay Magic has for these this month's Bisque. So we'll put that aside. And then inside we would have had the different, each little package is wrapped up in its little bubble wrap. We had Mrs. Frankie, Mr. Frankie. Let's see. Oh, she's telling me the crows aren't in here. So, and then there were some crows, and you also got this extra special add-on feature was two brushes, a 8 flat and a 3 round from Royal and Langnickel. Your dry brushes were also in there. And 3 crows. And then you also had a little trick-or-treat bag, which had extras in it and a little treat. So that would have been your little treat. Glitter for our projects. And this is our gloss sealer, which we will use that to put our glitter on, but you could also seal an entire piece with this by brushing it on, and it would have a gloss finish. And then we also had 3 little pumpkins in here as an extra treat. And then some little dewdrops to use as earrings on Mrs. Frankie and on the kitty's collar and on her shoes. So we'll put all those things aside. And we will, so we have Mrs. Frankie, which is who we'll start with tonight. We had Mr. Frankie, and then we have 3 crows. And they have a little bit of glitter on their tails, and this is a 3rd crow. So we'll sit those guys aside. And we'll put her in our little tray. And then I was gonna, you could have base coated your Mrs. Frankie black, front and the back, and the entire bottom and inside the little edges. And if you haven't done that yet, I can show you how to do one. And I've just used, you just wanted to take a bigger brush and dust her off for any dust. We do dust them off before they go in the boxes. And then you can take the Duck Holiday black, and then you just want to brush back and forth and get a nice smooth layer if you've never base coated before. So you just brush back and forth until you have your whole piece covered. And that's as far as I'm going to go on that one, because I wanted to show you guys something else new tonight. Because a lot of people complain about the bisque that they get. It may have a little dimple or nick in it, maybe a little air bubble hole. So I intentionally. Not from us. Oh, Cordy says not from us, but right, not from us. Because when I clean the greenware, I put all detail lines back in, and any texture is put back in, holes are inspected for, air bubbles, dents are checked for. So I'm just using this one as an example. So if you would get a piece of bisque from someone else, she's making sure I tell you guys someone else, because ours will not have that. I mean, I clean it and it's inspected, and then it's fired, and then when I take it out of the kiln I check it, and then when we're packing it, Courtney checks it again. So ours is thoroughly checked that there's no nicks and dents and holes, and you've probably noticed that the texture's put back in we try to do a superb job with our bisque. So we hope that will make us stick out in the business, and you guys can appreciate that. So just in case you would order a piece of bisque from someone else and it would have a problem, such as maybe a little hole or a little nick, I'm going to show you how you can fix it yourself so you don't have to completely throw the piece away. And what I use is just joint compound, which is a product that they use when you're drywalling. It's a plaster, and you can go into your hardware store and you can get a container about this size. You can get it like a 5-gallon pail as well. But this little, I've had this container probably for 5 or 6 years, and it lasts a long time. And it's pre-mixed, and it's just a putty, a plaster drywall putty that they use to tape to the seams when you're drywalling. And so I just go in there and get a little bit of it with my finger, and there's just a little divot in there, and I'll put that on there, and it dries fairly quick. And you can come over to where the little hole is and just kind of smush it right down in there, and try not to get it all over your piece, just where the little hole is. I just thought this would be helpful in case you would get a piece of bad bisque from someone. And then you can also go on the inside if you can get to that hole and get it in there as well. And then this dries fairly quickly, so we'll just let that sit aside and dry. And then once it's dried, I'll show you what the next step of that would be. And then you just want to close this up and like burp it so your air comes out. So again, that's just all-purpose joint compound that they use for drywalling, and it'll be at your hardware stores. It works really well for fixing little minor imperfections. So I'll get that off my fingers. And it's just a plaster, and it'll fill in. And that's just for on bisque that's not going to be fired again. You can't fix it and then fire it. It'll burn right out. So it's just for bisque that you're going to be painting. Like tonight we're going to be painting Mrs. Frankie. So that would be how you can fix that. And we'll let that dry, and then I can show you the next step. So now we have Mrs. Frankie, and she's got the purple and the rust and the green. So when you look at a piece like this, you probably, if you're new, you wonder, well, where in the world do I start? So I try to start looking at the piece. You have different levels. So like her shirt, the dress is higher than her chest. So you would probably want to do that area first. Then your the dress is lower than your pumpkin, so I would probably do the dress next. And then the hair is higher than the face, so we're actually doing the face than the chest first, because that's lower than the dress. So that's how I start out. I start with the lowest area and then usually come up, but sometimes you have to make adjustments. So we'll start with her face, and probably, as long as we're doing that, we'll do the hands and the little shoe right away too. So we will start with and I just used a piece of aluminum foil because I can throw that out when we're done and not have to worry about cleaning it off and washing it. Courtney's giving me hand signals here so you guys can see better. So we are going to start with our, I just see if I remember what I started with here. We'll start with our leaf green. And my little tray is just a little too far away here. I think I'm going to use the the brush that I got at this show as a trial one. It was from the artistpaintbrush.com, so we're going to try that. So I'm just going to go into my leaf green. Actually, that looks white.
What size are you using?
Huh?
What size?
Oh, this brush is a size 5, so you probably want about a size 5. Probably about a size 3 once we get down to the hands and the shoe. So I'm just going to go into my leaf green a little bit, work it in the brush, and then brush it out on my paper towel. And I'm just going to work on her face and get that green on there. And you just want to do many thin layers. And you don't have to worry about getting it on the dress or the hair, because we'll cover that up when we get to that area. So again, I'm just going to grab a little bit of the leaf green and brush it out. I'll come down here and put a little bit on her hands. So these guys have a lot more work in them than the last few pieces that we've done. We may not finish her tonight either. So that's a little too thick, so I'm going to brush that out. And don't worry about her fingernails. We'll come back and touch those up. I'm just going to grab a little more and brush it out. Come down to her shoe and brush where her forefoot is in the shoe. You'll probably get a little on the dress and a little on the shoe, but that's okay. I'm going to grab a little bit and brush it out. And don't worry about her eyes either. Just go ahead and dry brush right over the top of those. Get her ear. And she doesn't have any green in the back, so we don't have to get just the back of the ear is all. Grab a little green and brush it out. Get down on her chest, under her chin, and you just keep brushing and building the color up. Just want it nice thin layers. That'll make it look nice and soft. We'll go to her hands so her face can dry. Grab a little and brush it out. So we had a ton of rain here in the last 2 days. Not so much today, but more is coming tonight. We had like 5.5 inches yesterday, I think it was, overnight, and then yesterday. Well, we unloaded slip. It was dry when he came, but then our pallet was a little crushed, so we had to unload the slip from one pallet to the extra pallet that he had, which took time. So by the time the pallet actually got on the ground, it was pouring, like just downpouring. So we were drenched rats. But we got it. So now we're ready to pour Bisque boxes again. I'm going to go down here on her shoes. And you just keep doing it a little bit at a time, because that's what gives your nice soft look to your colors. Let's see what else went on this week. Oh, Saturday we went for a ride. And we went to a ceramic shop in Algoma that's about an hour-and-a-half drive from us. And we looked at what they had. Their shop is actually for sale, and they have a pole shed full of molds, and you can go and look through them. And they sell them by the pound, 25 cents a pound, but a minimum of $1 and a maximum of $10 per mold. We found a few things. We were looking for snowmen for a box, but we actually weren't very lucky finding any snowmen. I found a cow mold for the 4-H kids. A huge, about a 12-inch Easter egg. What else did we find, Courtney? I don't remember.
Cactus.
Oh, a couple little cactuses. I'm drawing a blank. They're sitting to my left here in the dining room until I get them logged, and we actually rented a storage shed because its house is being overtaken by molds at this point. Oh, what else was there? Oh, and I found some metallic rub-ons which are no longer produced, but the lady was and is a Doc Holliday dealer, so I was able to get a little stock pile for myself because I do angels with those and for craft shows, so I'm probably covered for life with those. But that was there wasn't hundreds of them, but there was enough for me. Oh, a bear. We got a grizzly bear. And we got a little grizzly bear with a fish. So if you start getting, like now I have a black spot there, that's because that's too wet. I need to let that dry a little more. So we'll let that green dry for a minute and we'll go back to our other little project that we were working on here. So now our plaster, our compound, joint compound is dry, fairly dry. And what you can do is get a piece of all-purpose, really fine grit, like 330 sandpaper, and just cut yourself off a little piece, tear it off rather. And then you can just gently sand where you put, that's just a little bit wet, yep, a little work. So where that hole was, the compound is fairly dry. You can just take this sandpaper and just sand it a little. And I usually like to let it dry overnight, but since we're not doing overnight, we'll just get the basics of how to do this. So you just want to sand real lightly because you don't want grooves put in your piece. But you can see now that little hole is basically fixed and your piece is saved. If it's a lot bigger hole, it may dry and shrink, and then you'd have to go back and put a little more in it, and then just sand it again until you get it built back up. But there's our little hole all fixed. And then for the bottom, we can do the same thing. It's just a fine sandpaper, and it sands real smooth. So now that divot is gone off the bottom too, because sometimes you'll have pieces that have air holes on the bottom, and this is a good way that you can go back and fix those if you don't want those air holes in there. So that was just using the drywall compound. Just put it in there, let it dry. I would say let it dry overnight, and then just take your fine sandpaper and just give it a nice little sand, and then there you are. You have your piece all fixed. Again, you can't fire this piece again. You can't put glaze on this and fire it. It'll burn out. But if you're just using the acrylic stains, it's a nice little way to fix holes or imperfections if you would get bisque like that. But again, we do everything we can to not send you bisque with holes and nicks in it. And if you would, please let us know. But like I said, I inspect it twice, and then Courtney also inspects it. So we try to make sure you have good bisque. So hopefully our little green is dried while we were doing that. Let's see, I forgot to look at the tablet here to see who's all with us tonight. We have Carol and Amanda, Lisa, Tammy, what else? Oh, and Sue, and Renee, and Carol, Lorraine. Great, well good, glad you guys are joining us here tonight. So let's see if our green dried enough that we can go back. So normally, if I was painting myself, I would probably have Mr. Frankie also base coated, and I could have went over to him and worked on his green, and then come back over to Mrs. Frankie and work on her green, and then go back over to Mrs. Frankie. And we'll actually do that with our October box, the scarecrows. We're going to work on both pieces at the same time. But that's okay. We'll do these guys separate this time. So I just want to get that built back up on there. Grab a little and brush it out. But if you get a smear like that, your paint is, it's too wet and you got to let it dry. So we'll get her greened up again. So what else is going on? I'm pouring for the next box. I'm pouring orders. I work during the day. Just a block from the house. So that's pretty nice. Oh, we have a craft show the first Sunday in October in Greenville. It's a nice show as long as we don't get mud like we had last year because we had a ton of rain. We did get a different spot, so we'll be on the outside row and further up and not down in the mud hole. And on the outside row. And I think Courtney has that information on her page if you're local and can come to the craft show. It's a great craft show. There's probably 250 vendors at least, I'm guessing. It's very large. Lots of fall stuff. I think there's other stuff going on too there besides. So we'll just keep building this up real light. Yes, all the pieces for this box will be base coated black, so if you want you can go ahead and base coat them during the week before the shows. Okay, so I think I'm going to grab a little bit of we'll go to the Limeburst now and get her really green. So this is the Mayco Softies Limeburst SS376. Courtney's been posting paints right on our Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque.com. And Mayco is sending us their color flyer for the colors that they have, and we'll be adding that to next month's box. We're working on getting the Duncan flyer, and we're also working on getting. So now we're gonna, before I get sidetracked, we're back to the Mayco's Limeburst SS376, and we're gonna go over this green and just give it a little more of a brightness to it. So back to the paints. We're hoping, you think October, by October? Either October or mid-October, beginning November, of carrying the Duncan line of paints. And then after we have the Duncan line of paints on Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque.com, we'll have the Mayco line of paints as far as the acrylic stains. I don't know that we'll be carrying glazes, but if you would like glazes, you can message us, and we can order them when we order our colors for the month, which is around the 10th. And then it could ship inside your Bisque box if it's a small enough order. And it's in stock. That's the other thing. So like one of the ladies wanted Harvest Pumpkin, and we're going to order that, and it's going to ship in her October box, right? As long as they have it and can ship it to us, which they should. The only colors we have problems with most of the time is the Doc Holliday colors, and we've kind of not going to say totally given up on them, but we're going to let them get their situation more stable before we carry the Doc Holliday colors, because when you look on their website, they're out of stock, and if you call the distributor, they don't have them. So once they get everything back in stock the way it needs to be for business, then we will carry the Doc Holliday colors if we can get them dependably. So for now, we're going to start with the Duncan, and then we're going to add the Mayco. That's acrylic stains I'm talking about again. And then we'll just see how it goes. And like I said, if you guys need things, just let us know, and we can order them and send them as well. What were you going to say, Courtney?
What we do have is on the website.
Oh, so Courtney says what we do have right now, because we did order a lot that we picked up at the show. It's on Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque.com. And she figured out this week how to do the shipping. So you're getting the actual shipping charge based on distance and weight. And then the other thing is that if it's under a cubic foot, that helps save a lot on the postage. So when you can put your things in the cart, and then you can add your zip code, and then I think it'll give you an estimate of what your shipping will be then. Or it's not an estimate, it's what the shipping is for what's in the cart at that point.
If they want something shipped for free in their box, they have to message me though.
And then Courtney says if there's something on the website, say there's a set of brushes and you want that particular set of brushes and you want it to come in your Bisque box, say for October 5th, just send us a message and then she can pull them.
Don't check out on the website.
And put them in your box, but send a message, don't check out on the website, and then she'll send you that on an invoice. And then if they fit in the box, they will ship free because we'll be covering the shipping on the box itself. So that actually covers quite a bit. Little pieces of bisque will also fit in there, but large pieces of bisque probably will not fit in there.
Smaller than your hand.
She says anything smaller than your hand should likely fit in the bisque boxes. But now we do have the two scarecrows are a little bit bigger this month, so you may not be able to get a that size piece in there. Or probably more like little birds or little trucks, little Christmas ornament size stuff would fit in the box yet. Because we do have two bigger pieces of bisque in there this month coming up. So I want her a little bit, you can see she's pretty green here, but there's a lot of black coming through up here yet, so I still want her a little bit darker, a little more green, so I'm just going to keep working away with it. And as we get things, she'll keep adding them to the Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque.com. Just takes time to figure everything out and get everything added, and everything has to be weighed and everything, all that measured. And if you're local, you can message us too, and she can create an invoice for you so that you don't have to pay shipping. What? Right?
Pick up for free. I'm in the valley. I'm in Shawano.
Courtney lives in the Fox Valley area, North Appleton, and I'm in Shawano. So we do have a couple ladies that pick up things at the house, which is fine. Maybe in the future we'll actually have a shop. We'll have to see how things go here. So we're just keeping building up this green because I don't want a whole lot of black showing through. And you can do yours however green you want. If you want more black showing through, that's okay too. She's also working on getting a special box for the next month, right? Mm-hmm. Because if we're going to be doing a sealer special, that two cans can fit in your Bisque box and ship for free. The cans will be. The cans are $9.99 a can. The sealer will be $9.99 a can. You can fit up to two cans in your Bisque box, but they can't go priority mail. They're going to have to go by ground. So she's working on getting boxes from a box company. So it may take an extra day or two to get your boxes as well if you're getting the sealer, because they can't go air. We should be probably posting that next week, right? It's been a busy week. We didn't get as much of that kind of stuff done as we wanted to with getting the slip, and I had a flat tire today. I have a nail in it, so it's just kind of one thing after another. So that's looking pretty good as far as the green. I think I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to lay the brush aside because I'm not going to wash it out. I may use it yet to touch up any green. So let's see, let's go with our purple. So I'm going to go with the Regal Purple Doc Holliday DH50. And we're going to work on her dress next. It'll take quite a bit. And I'm going to use you could use a 5 again. I'm going to use a 5. I'm using my Royal & Langnickel 5 bristle dry brush. And I'm just going to grab a little bit and work it out. I'm going to flip my paper towel so I have some new. And now I'm just going to go brush back and forth across the texture of the dress, right down to the bottom of it, and you want to get the bottom of it too. And I had a couple orders I'm working on, trying to get stuff done for the craft show, which is going quite slow. And now where our green is on our dress, we're going to just cover that up real slowly and not try to get too much purple on our green. And if you just brush real slow and just keep working your way towards it so you can see that the green is getting covered up without getting the area that you want green and purple. So just work at it real slow. Just brush real slow and gentle so you can see where your green or your purple is going. And if you have even a smaller brush, say, which you could use that, I think you have a 0 flat or like a 3 round would work too. I don't think you guys got the 3 round, but if you have something like a 3 round, you can go right to the tip. You just keep working your way down till you get that point without getting the whole foot full of purple. You just slowly work your way over till you can see that the green is getting covered. And we'll do the other side right away. So these are a little putzier than the animals. Just dry brushing back and forth. And it's okay if we get the purple on the shoe because we can cover that back up with black. We just don't want to get the green foot all purple. And if you get some on there, that's okay. You can just use a small brush and cover it back up. I'm just going to go back to my 5 again and brush back and forth. And you just keep turning it, working your way around. Brush it out. Brush back and forth. Come right down to the bottom. And kind of get a little bit on the bottom here too. Now I have a little bit of white there, but that's okay. This purple is going to cover it up. And I like to make sure my bottoms are done. So we're just going to work that right down to the back on the bottom. So it takes quite a bit to get the purple to come up, and that's too much, so I got to brush that out. So I hope that little tip on how to fix bisque if you get bad bisque from someone helps anyone. You can also use that real fine sandpaper like that to sand, say if a seam line wasn't cleaned real well, you could use that too. Bug here tonight. I'm just going to keep brushing back and forth. So it's been cool here, but it was kind of humid one day, but we've had lots of rain. Courtney was here yesterday with the slip, and on the way back home, the part of the highway was closed. She had to go around. I'm just going to turn him around. Oh, so who else? We have Marie and Molly and Cheryl and Shirley. And Tammy and Lisa. Welcome, you guys. Hope you're enjoying tonight's painting. These are kind of fun little characters. We're thinking for next year we may add characters to this set. So you guys have to let us know if you think that's a good idea or not. There's actually a whole set of these, so it might be kind of nice to keep building on it. So now I'm just grabbing that purple and brushing it out, and I've got my hand anchored on the table, and I got hold of my piece. Now I actually want to get up to her hair, but I don't want to go on the hair if I don't have to. So I usually do these little half circles, and I just gradually get closer and closer. And if you go real slow, you can see where your purple is, and you can just move closer and closer until you're at that point where they meet. So you can just start here and work your way closer, closer, and there it is. Start away and work your way up. Oh, you know what we have to do? We have to do the swag thing yet from the show. We brought some things back from the ceramic show, and we were going to do a giveaway, so you guys will have to watch for that. Maybe we'll get to that this week. So again, I'm just going to start away from the cat's tail and work my way up to it, because then I can see on her dress where my purple is at. And you just want to come up to that area where they meet. You don't want to go right into it. You want to let like 1/8 of an inch of that black there, because that's what's going to give you your shadows and give your piece more depth. So I'm just going about 1/8 of an inch away from where it meets. Even with the hairline here, I went about 1/8 of an inch down. I left that darker black and then started with the purple there, and that just gives you a nice shadow and depth on your pieces. And I'm just brushing right over the top of her arm, sleeve, and her body part of her dress. And I'm just doing like half circles or C's, grabbing the paint and brushing it out. I hope this dark purple is easy enough to see. So now when I come to her waistline, I'm actually going to go across it instead of going with it, because I want that to stay darker. So you do have to change how you're brushing depending upon the area that you're brushing on. Like where the sleeve is meeting the dress, I want to go across that, but I want to go across this and not with it. So you want to go just up to it and then come down below it again and start back up. And then you can go up and down here. And we're going to go back and forth here just because it's got these long little pleats in it, and we just want to keep those pleats in there, and we want like a little bit of darkness in the depth part of them. So you can see there's darkness here and here. We want to keep that a little bit. And I come right down to the bottom. We'll go back up, back down, back up. Grab a little purple and brush it out. Oh, I've seen a technique today that Mayco shared. It was doing the bubbles, blowing the bubbles and putting your pieces in. That's a great project to do with kids with Easter eggs or Christmas ornaments. It's real simple. It's on my Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque page on Facebook. I shared it this morning from Mayco. So you guys can go too, like to the Mayco Facebook page and just put like that you like their page, and then when they post updates, you'll see updates like that. Any of the pages like Clay Magic, Mayco, our page. Courtney says our page. So we're just gonna work our way around to the front here. I'm gonna come up to the pumpkin, try to avoid getting on the pumpkin here. And we want to avoid her hand. So again, I'm just doing those little backwards bottom up C strokes, working my way up. And then back down. And brush back and forth. And that's a little too much, so you gotta brush it out. And I'm going a little bit slower here because I don't want to get her green hands all purple. And you could even switch to that littler brush again. And just keep going back and forth and gently move up till you get to where the line is where you want your purple and green to meet. And we'll come over here and do the same thing on this other one. I would say she's the hardest piece of the pieces this month. And it's not that she's hard, it's just that it probably just takes a little more time because you got all these little areas instead of like the animals you had just like the whole animal to dry brush at one time. So I'm just going to try to get real close here without getting her hand all purple. But if you do, you can go back and touch it up with the green. And if it's really bad, you can just paint it black and start over. So I just slowly nudge that until I get that purple the way I want it. And come right up to the cat's tail. And we'll come back down here to the tip of these peaks by her shoe and give them another little coat. Because they're dry now, so now it'll take more color again. So I know we heard from some of you that you liked your boxes. I hope everyone liked their boxes. Let us know what you think. If you have suggestions, we're open to suggestions too. Again, I'm going to come back over to her other little hand. Oop, too much. You got to brush it out. Talking causes that. Not paying quite enough attention. So we'll let that sit and we'll go back to our bigger brush. Oh, and now we have Lorraine and Belinda. Hello. Hope you guys are enjoying the painting here. Is anyone painting along tonight? Or are we just watching? Which is fine too. So again, I'm just going to go back and forth, try to get this purple built up some more. And you can go back and forth, or you can do those C strokes. We just want a nice even coat of purple on her dress. And then we'll come back and highlight it with the lighter purple. So I kind of go back and forth between the back and forth and the C stroke. I kind of like the C stroke. It kind of blends the paint right down in there. And then we want to make sure we get the bottom because we have the zigzag of her dress, like the three-dimensional part of it. So we want to make sure we get down here too. And then the second little, so you have the little zigzag of her dress, but then there's like the heels of her shoes are also here. So you don't want to get the heels purple. So you just want to go right up to them. I didn't know what those were at first until I think when I painted it, I figured it out. Oh, those are her heels. She's a fancy lady wearing heels. So that's a little too thick. We're going to brush that out. So I don't let a whole lot of black left on her, just in the crevices on the dress. Let's see, I worked on some pumpkins this week. Worked on scarecrows. They're actually almost painted for October's box, so we can do a sneak peek here. To see when Courtney's coming back, or when I'm going down. So we'll just keep brushing this out. We only have 3 new colors added on for the scarecrows, so we were able to keep that to a minimum. But yep, we have a lot of colors because we're on our, that's actually going to be our 4th box, right?
20 total.
It's 20 colors total, but because we've added, you know, each box has kind of been new because we're first starting. So now we'll be reusing a lot of the colors. 17 of the colors are reused for the October box. And I think for the November box, we may have a couple new colors because we're going to be using red. We may have a different red. I know I use the rust as the base coat always for the red. Oh, and we'll be needing silver trim, so I don't think we've had silver yet, have we, Courtney?
No.
So silver. So there will be a couple new colors in the November box, too. But we should be able to keep them to a minimum. We have a good assortment of colors now that we've been through 4 boxes. That'll be the 4th box, so that'll be nice that you guys won't have to get so many colors always. But yet we're reusing the colors that we had, so we still have a big variety of colors. And I see Mayco has some new glaze releases this week, so that's pretty exciting for the industry. If anyone has access to a kiln. And I see Michael's even had Bisque. Well, actually, Courtney's seen it. She sent me the picture. Bisque in the stores, but she wasn't real impressed with the quality of it. But that's actually a good sign for the ceramics industry, because hopefully there's in the stores, because there's more interest in it again, which will make it I guess profitable for the companies to be making molds and paints and bringing that stuff to us, because if it's not profitable, then they can't bring it to us either. So I'm just grabbing the purple and building up this color slowly, going round and round. So I have a couple molds that I got new this spring that I haven't even had time to pour yet. Not sure when I'm going to get the time to pour them either, but one of them's the Woodland Snowman, which I know he's going to be really cute.
Right.
And then the snowman wreath that Clay Magic came out with last year, we have that mold and it's brand new, and haven't had time to even pour it either. Oh, and the Harvest Pumpkin Birdhouse mold finally dried out. That's a little too much, so I gotta brush that out. And I did pour the first one of that, I think on Sunday or Monday. And because of the size of it, it stayed in the mold overnight. And then I took it out. I poured it on Sunday, and I took it out on Tuesday night. It actually stayed in there a little longer than what I usually do, but it didn't want to come out. So I left it. I haven't poured it anymore this week to let that mold dry just a little bit more. So now I'm just noticing we forgot to do her chest area on her little dress here, so we got to do that. And I'm going to switch back over to my little 1/0 round. So you want a little small round like a 0 or a 1. And we're just going to try to get in there and get the little bodice part of her dress and slowly work that up. And you just slowly and gently go at it. Just brush back and forth, build it up. And now she wouldn't have to be purple. That's just the colors that I picked. You guys can paint your things any colors that you like. So I'm trying to stay away from the pumpkin in her hand and just build up our purple. Stay away from her chest. Oh, Belinda says she wasn't impressed with the Michaels stuff either. Yeah, it's probably from overseas, and but it's a good sign to see it there, because that's just a good sign for the ceramic industry, I think. So I'm just building that up, and I can see that there's green on her little bodice of her dress, so I just want to get that down in there a little bit further so I don't see that green on the dress. And just brush back and forth. Bring it down by your hands. Courtney said a lot of it was, some of it was broken in the packages too. Which, I mean, I understand that it's hard to ship that kind of stuff, and if it's poured thin and maybe not fired correctly, it's going to be more brittle.
It doesn't feel like that material.
Oh, Courtney says it didn't even feel like our bisque. So all my bisque is fired to cone 04. I don't fire the greenware to 06 or 05. Some people do, but mine's all fired to 04. So she's actually grabbing a box of slip. It's in the hallway on its way down to the basement. She's got a box for me to show you guys. So here's a good little show and tell. So this is how the slip comes. It comes in there's 2 gallons in a box. I think it's 20 some pounds. I don't remember offhand. So you open it up, and it's actually in a plastic bag. And there's 2 gallons in here, believe it or not. And it's just taped over, or bent over, and it's rubber banded. And I just pull the rubber band off and put it in my pail or in my pouring machine. And it's just your liquid slip that makes our pieces. And it's I get it from Ohio Ceramic Supply out of Ohio. We got 80 boxes of it, which is 160 gallons. So I'm hoping it lasts. I'm hoping for 6 months, but I don't think it's going to make it, because then we'll be in the dead of winter here. So that's what the slip looks like for casting the molds. So you guys are learning all kinds of little things here tonight. So you pour that into your plaster mold, and then once it's thick enough, so basically your mold would be upside down, and that's liquid filled in, and then you can see how thick your piece is getting, and once it's as thick as you want, you pour it back out. You pour the mold out, and the slip runs out back into your pail or your pouring table. And then you let the mold drain, and then you let it dry. Your greenware piece dries so that it's stiff enough to take out of the mold. And then you have wet greenware, which needs to dry, which takes a day or 2 or 3. It all depends upon your conditions, if it's damp in your house or shop or you have heat. And then once it's dry, you clean your seams, and then you put your detail back in. You carve that back in with the cleaning tool, or you can use a ball stylus. I use a ball stylus a lot to put texture and lines back in. Like her hairlines, I had to put her hairlines back in and put the detail on her ear back in, and use the ball stylus to put the line where the dress and the arm met, and where the little shoe is here. So all that is important when you're cleaning your pieces, is to put that detail back in. And you can use a sponge to wipe those seams, and then you can use the sponge also that's been dipped in water to create texture on your pieces that may be gone where the seams were. So it's really important to do that. So we're just about to where I want to be. It's a very even purple across the whole dress. We have the darker areas where the pleats are, which that's what we want. That just gives that dress, make it looks like it's flowing. We'll come back around here a little further up here, I think. How are we doing on time, Courtney? 7:55. Yep, I don't think we'll get her done tonight, but I didn't think we would. Like I said, she's probably going to take the most time, but that's okay. And I want to come back and make sure I get the bottom here. Let's see, this weekend's plans. What's everyone got planned for the weekend? Are you guys back to painting now that we're into fall and school's back in session and summer's kind of over here? Time to get ready for fall and winter outside as far as the gardens and the fish pond. I will probably be cleaning scarecrows, firing scarecrows, pouring scarecrows. Oh, it's thundering. So the cat's going to hunker down and hide. We can probably get her dress done tonight. And maybe get some of the rust on the pumpkin. And then next week we can do the cat. Probably finish the pumpkin, her fingernails, and maybe we won't seal her because we'll do all our glitter and sealing at the together because Frankie's got some glitter on him here too. So we'll probably do that all on the probably on the third one. But for next week, you could base coat your Frankie, and if you want, you can base coat all your pieces, your crows and your Frankie, because we will finish her next week except for the glitter. We'll get started on him. We should get him close to being finished. 1, 2. No, we probably won't either. So today is the first time. Probably take half or more of the show next week to finish her. Then we'll start him. He'll go into half of the next show. Then we can do the glitter on both of them. And then the last show we can do the crows. So I think that's what we'll shoot for. He just goes quicker than her. I don't know, she's just the way she's designed, I guess. So that's how she's looking. So if you have her as purple as you want, then we're going to grab the Duncan OS567 and it's just purple. And we're just going to highlight it a little bit. And I'm going to use the same purple, but I'm going to, or the same brush, I'm just going to use a different piece of paper towel. I'm going to grab a little bit of that purple, brush it out. So you can see if you grab, I'm going to grab too much so you guys can see. Like that's way too much paint. When you're brushing out your brush, you want it to be just a little bit in your brush like that, not drastic like that. So you want it to be only a little bit coming out on your paper towel. So now we're just going to brush across all her texture just to give her some highlights to lighten it up. And you can do this as much or little as you want. So I probably put more down the center, around the bottom, around the edges of her sleeves, but I don't want to get inside the sleeve. I just want to get on the edges of the sleeve. Grab a little more and brush it out. And I want to get more on these ripples on her dress as well. So you can see this is getting lighter than this, so that's what we want. Come right up this middle. And we'll just work our way around. Again, just brushing it out. Getting the bottom and the ripples. Just keep coming around. So on the back of her dress, I will only come up to where her gathers or her ripples are, and I won't do so much here, but then I'll do a little bit more up here on her shoulders. I guess we could flip her over so you can see. You can see there's more along the bottom. Some through here, just a little bit through here. And that just gives that dress more shape. Like actually like the light is shining on it in those areas. Just keep rubbing back and forth until you get it as light as you like it. Come up here and we'll get a little bit up here. And I'm just going in the middle. I'm letting that darkness around the outside. Going back and forth. You can see it slowly coming up. How's everyone liking their free brushes in their boxes? Are you finding them useful? Are you short on brushes and it's a great to have extra brushes? I know the more brushes the better. Can never have enough brushes. I'm just working my way back around to the front. Let that back dry. Grab a little and brush it out. I do have a few of the ball styluses ordered, and once they get here, we'll have Courtney put those on the Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque.com page. She said she'll put them in the Bisque box group first, though, so that'll be kind of cool. You guys will get first dibs on them, kind of like we did with the brushes. It'll be a set like this, with the different sizes. Kind of leave them in there, maybe it'll be easier to see. So there's 4 of them. I think this is the biggest one, and then it goes down to this really fine one. So you can do all kinds different sizes of dots for eyeballs. And maybe we'll even plan on doing like an Easter egg project, like with the mandala dots designing like they do on rocks. We could probably do that on Easter eggs or something. So waiting for those to come. All kinds of stuff going on. Courtney was base coating, but she brought her base coating stuff back. I don't know if it's because she don't have time or she don't like it. Don't have time, she says. Going on the bottom of the little sleeve. She was going to base coat some things for me. For the craft shows, she says. She's not a painter. I just want to get the tip of that a little more lighter there and get rid of, I have lines in there and I don't like that. I want that to be more just color. We're just going to keep working our way around, get the front of the sleeve here where the light would be hitting it. Oh, and we can't forget that chest that we keep forgetting about. Switch her back around. And you could switch to a smaller brush here too if you want. Get her belt a little bit that's going around her waist. And we'll try to build this center line up again. And get the edge of that sleeve. Now we're just going to come through the top part of her arm where this light would be hitting it. We're not going to do the bottom part because that would be more shadow down there. I'm just going back and forth. Or you can do those little C strokes too. They're just like little half-inch ones, but it just brightens up that very center area of that arm. And then you have your dark purple, and then you have your black, so you have your 3 shades again. Because I like 3 shades. And I'll probably come up a little bit more on her shoulder because the light would be hitting that just a little bit more. And we'll do the same. So on this side it's a little harder because she's holding the kitty, but we still want a little bit of lightness, maybe right through here. And you just go back and forth till it builds it up. And like right on the edge of that sleeve because the light would be hitting that. Not so much on the bottom, but now we're going to bring it right up. Or you can start at the top and bring it down. So we have Connie and Donnie joined us. Welcome, you guys. Hope you're having a good night. It's thundering here, Connie. Are you getting thunder also? I'm going to bring the back up just a little further because these ripples in the back come up further. A little bit across the shoulders yet. Grab a little more and brush it out. And a little, I want the bottom a little bit brighter, so I'm going to try to go a little bit heavier on the bottom. So I'm more of the light purple here, and then just gradually less and less. It'll make her dress looks like it's more flared out, I guess you could say that way. So just keep going back and forth, front to back. Let one area dry while you're doing the other one. And we'll come up just a little bit onto her derriere, I guess we could call it. And a little bit back up there on the shoulders. And we want to make sure we get the sides. And I think I want it just a little bit lighter. A little bit more on this inside of this sleeve here where the light would be hitting it. And you have to turn your pieces so you can get your brush where it needs to go. And a little more on the bottom of this one because the light would be hitting that more. And on the tip of that one. So it's getting darker and darker here, earlier and earlier. Which is, I guess that's our sign of fall. And again, I'm going to come down to the bottom. I want the bottoms a little bit lighter. And then up the center, I want that a little bit lighter, just to bring more attention to the center with her little zigzagging there. And turn her around and look at her. So this is pretty good here, but it's pretty light, dark right there, so I want some more on there. So you have to keep spinning your pieces and looking at them. You want to look at it from all the different angles. And we'll get a little more back here. And it's kind of dark right there yet, so we'll get a little, and that's way too much. So I'm going to wipe that with my hand a little bit, brush that out. And we'll just brighten up the rest of it to kind of match that, because that was a little more than I wanted at one time. But it's actually how the color that I wanted, so that was good anyway. We'll just keep going back and forth. So the week goes by really fast for me. How does it go by for you guys? Connie says yes, it's starting to thunder and lightning. Oh. Oh, and her daughter lost storm. Oh, Courtney just brought up the state. The state is covered in red and yellow. I guess the heavy rains that they were talking about are here. I don't know how many inches we can get tonight, but I know they said heavy rains, so. Fortunately, I stayed pretty dry here. It's pretty sandy where I'm at. Courtney's had flooding trouble, but I think Jason's got that all fixed. I guess we're going to find out one way or the other this year, huh? Removed sod and soil and regraded the yard along the house so that the water's not pooling up against the house. So it was probably a good thing he did it with this crazy weather. So I'm putting a little more up on her shoulders. I just want for her, yep, the back of her shoulder. Just want a little more on her arms. You just keep going and going until you have it the way you want it. So this seems to abruptly stop right there. I don't want it to do that, so I'm just going to get a little bit more on there so it's more gradual. Oh, I hear the rain. That means you got to drive home in the rain. Well, at least we didn't lose power or anything. I think I've only lost power here in maybe 3 times in like 27 years. I've been pretty darn lucky. So I'm just going to look her over. I think she's about where I want her to be. Get a little bit more there so it's more gradual. So that looks pretty good. So what time are we at? Almost quarter after. Maybe we can put a little bit of rust on our pumpkin and then that can dry for next week. Let's see, I'm going to grab the Doc Holliday DH28 rust. Also the terracotta would work if you don't have the rust. We've had trouble getting the rust and we have to get terracotta now. So I'm just going to use a drop. I'm going to use my little brush that I had the black on. It's just the 0 round Royal and Lane nickel. And I'm just going to work that in there so I can get the black. And then I'm just going to do little half circles on the pumpkin just to get a little bit of a base coat, and that can dry good until next week. I'm just doing little half circles, getting that pumpkin base coated here, not base coated, but started with its first color. And I'll just I'll just start a little bit away from the hand and just slowly, as you're doing that, you can see where your rust is going, and once you get close enough, then you can just stop without getting it on her little hands. And if you do, you can go back with the green and cover it up. We'll just nudge it slowly up to the green. I hope everyone has a good week again this week, and I hope you get your little Mrs. Frankie painted. Let's see, what else? If you're having trouble, you can message me, take a picture of her, and just send me the message. I'll try to answer them. It may not be right away because I do work during the day, but Courtney probably won't be able to answer any painting particulars. So you might have to wait longer for those answers if it's during the day. But just take a picture of her and send it to me and give me a little heads up of what you're having a problem with, and I'll message you back what we can do to resolve whatever the problem is. So I'm just going to work that rust onto this pumpkin, just get a nice little first coat on it. Just keep working it down. Get it nice and even. Well, let's see, what else can we say for the week? I need to pour some Christmas trees. I need to pour a snowman wreath. I usually try to post those pictures, just kind of interesting to see what all goes on to make a piece. I have another kiln that I need to get to my house and get it going, because my little kiln, I need to get to the bigger kiln so I can fire more at one time. So that's another project for this week. What else? Oh, getting the nail fixed in my tire so I have wheels. That'll probably be the first thing we do tomorrow after work. I don't know, I gotta see what I'm gonna do with that. So I'll just let her the little rust at that point, and that'll dry good, and we can add some orange to that next week. Let's see, what else are we gonna do next week? We will do our kitty in our gray, and we'll have to work on her face, and we'll touch up the black on the shoes and the black on the hair and stuff like that, and then we'll switch over to Mr. Frankie. So I think that's about it for this week. I knew she wouldn't be done in one night. So let's see if we have any other questions. Oh, what's in her left hand? Yep, that's the pumpkin. And then the kitty is in the other hand. So it's kind of it's a lot slower going than the other pieces, but that's okay. The scarecrows are kind of a little bit slower going too, but we should get them painted in our 4 classes anyway. So I think that's about it. Hope everyone has a safe, dry week. If you have any questions with your painting and need help, send me a message. Otherwise, I guess we will talk to you guys next Thursday. I don't know the date though, 16, 17, it must be the 19th. Thursday the 19th at 7 Central Time. And you can base coat your Frankie black, and if you wanted to start with your crows, you could do them in black also. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week, and have a great week, and see you then. Bye!